Greetings everyone and welcome back. I greatly appreciate your presence today. I'm eager to share a compelling story with you, so let's dive right in. My name is Maxwell, and everything shifted dramatically the night my wife decided to have dinner with my boss, despite my objections. That very evening, I gathered my belongings and vanished. Allow me to take you through the events that led to this moment. My wife, Chelsea, and I are polar opposites in terms of our personalities. I am inherently introverted, composed, and focused, while she is outgoing, lively, and often the life of the party. Prior to our marriage, she had a successful career in the corporate world. However, just before we tied the knot, she made the bold decision to leave that behind and embark on her own event planning venture. To her credit, she excelled at it. Her clients relied on her for everything, from weddings to corporate gatherings and charity galas. She had a knack for organizing events flawlessly. Meanwhile, my background was in cybersecurity, where I primarily worked behind the scenes for various companies. Despite our differences, we complemented each other well. Her extroverted nature balanced my introversion, and we both actively supported one another's aspirations. We had been together for 5 years and married for 2. And until that point, our relationship felt unshakable. But soon the cracks began to show. I had recently accepted a new position after being recruited by a small yet reputable firm. The owner was known for his high standards and hands-on approach, demanding excellence but rewarding skilled employees generously. The salary was a significant improvement, and the benefits were appealing. I took the plunge, confident in my abilities and ready to embrace the challenge. However, I never anticipated that this decision would ultimately lead to the unraveling of my marriage. Shortly after starting my new job, I encountered car troubles. One afternoon, I took it in for maintenance and was informed that the repairs would take longer than expected. Consequently, I called Chelsea to pick me up from work, which she readily agreed to do. Upon her arrival, I was still busy with some work, so she waited in my office. About half an hour later, my boss entered. Typically all business. He rarely smiled or engaged in small talk. However, upon seeing Chelsea, he transformed into a different person, cheerful and almost charming. I introduced her as my wife, and he immediately began asking her about her event planning business. He seemed genuinely interested, even joking that perhaps she should handle our company's events. We all shared a laugh, and he requested her business card, mentioning that he might need her services in the future. At that moment, it all seemed innocent and harmless. But looking back, I can clearly see that was the beginning of everything going awry. As the weeks progressed, I began to notice subtle changes. My boss would make comments about how attractive Chelsea was or how fortunate I was to have her. Initially, I dismissed it as awkward humor. But then one day, I misplaced my phone at home and had to borrow Chelsea's to call it. While scrolling through her recent calls, I noticed something alarming. My boss's name appeared multiple times throughout the week, primarily in the afternoons. This raised immediate red flags. Why was he contacting her so frequently? Trusting my instincts, I opened their messages and what I discovered left me reeling. He had been flirting with her, sending compliments and asking about her day, interspersed with jokes intended to charm. Chelsea's replies were warm, but not overtly flirtatious. It seemed she didn't mind the attention. Then I uncovered something even more troubling. When his compliments didn't yield the desired response, he shifted tactics, offering to assist her business and promising to refer clients to her. This felt calculated, as if he were trying to win her over through professional favors. Their messages revealed that they had already met for lunch, and soon, he began pushing for dinner. Chelsea initially declined, stating that I wouldn't be comfortable with it. I thought she was setting a boundary, but he persisted, claiming I wouldn't care. He even made insinuating comments like, "Your husband has his own secrets," attempting to instill doubt. That was when I realized she might be starting to believe him. Before I could delve deeper, she caught me looking at her phone. From that moment on, she became more secretive, keeping her phone close. It took over a week before I got another chance to check her messages. One weekend, she stepped away and left her phone unattended. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly accessed her messages again. What I found made my stomach churn. Their conversations had escalated beyond mere chatting. My boss had started sending her photos, pictures of himself in nothing but his underwear, taken in what appeared to be a hotel room. One photo even bore the caption, "Wish you were here." It felt as though I had been punched in the chest. I silently forwarded the images to my own phone and took screenshots of their conversations for future reference. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to be certain of my next steps. That night, sleep eluded me as my mind raced through every conversation we'd had and every sign I had overlooked. Finally, the following evening, I asked Chelsea to sit down. She entered the living room, and I looked her directly in the eye. Chelsea blinked, feigning ignorance to my words. I told her I had seen the messages exchanged between her and my boss. There was no room for pretense anymore. The truth was laid bare. I insisted that she cut off all contact with him immediately. Her reaction was layered. Initially, she appeared stunned, clearly not expecting my direct confrontation, but that shock quickly morphed into defensiveness. She argued that there was nothing inappropriate about their conversations, insisting she hadn't encouraged anything and was merely being polite. Then she dropped the bombshell. She had plans to have dinner with him the following evening. According to her, it was strictly business. He was offering her a significant opportunity to organize a major event, crucial for her career. I urged her to cancel, but she resisted vehemently, claiming I was being controlling and that my insecurities were the real issue, not her actions. She made it clear that she would not cancel her plans simply to alleviate my discomfort. I laid it out plainly. If she chose to go, she should not expect to return to me. That was my ultimatum. No negotiation. Chelsea said nothing, she simply walked away to bed. The following day, she acted as though we were embroiled in a trivial argument. The tension between us simmered, palpable yet unspoken. That evening, I watched as she stood in front of the mirror, slipping into a form-fitting black dress, the same one I had complimented her on years ago. She turned to me, smoothed down the fabric and asked, "Do I look good?" I couldn't respond. I was at a loss for words. After everything we had discussed, she was still determined to go. Without waiting for my answer, she grabbed her bag, glanced in the mirror one last time, and walked out the front door without a word. As soon as the door closed, I felt a suffocating weight in my chest. I sat there, trying to keep my thoughts from spiraling out of control. Couple of hours later, my phone buzzed. A message from my boss. "You couldn't even stop her from coming to spend the evening with me." Froze. That message encapsulated everything. He was mocking me, treating Chelsea as a trophy he had claimed while making me feel like a fool who couldn't protect what was rightfully mine. It confirmed my growing suspicions. He had been testing boundaries for months, and now he was brazenly gloating. I couldn't remain in that house for another second. It no longer felt like home. I grabbed a duffel bag, hastily stuffing in clothes, a charger, and my laptop. I didn't care where I ended up. I just needed to leave. After nearly 2 hours of driving in silence, I found myself at my parents' house. It was around 1 a.m. when I knocked, and my father opened the door, visibly puzzled. My mother appeared behind him, and they didn't ask any questions. I kept glancing at my phone, hoping for a call or message from Chelsea, but nothing came. I lay down on the old couch in the den, clutching my phone to my chest, waiting for something, anything from her. I drifted off, wishing she would realize the gravity of her actions. But when morning arrived, it was met with silence. No messages, no calls. That was the moment I understood our marriage was over. I no longer felt anger. Instead, I experienced clarity. I made a decision: I would disappear. Living abroad had always been a quiet aspiration of mine, one I had never pursued due to Chelsea and the future we had envisioned together. Now, free from those constraints, the path ahead felt open. I logged into our joint savings account, the one we had built up for our future home, and transferred all the funds. I also accessed our investment accounts. There wasn't a fortune, but it was sufficient. I liquidated everything. Market conditions were irrelevant now. I transferred all the money into an international account I had discreetly opened previously. I had no intention of returning. That morning I purchased a one-way ticket to Mexico. Before I left, I executed one final act. As the plane taxied down the runway, I opened a folder I had compiled. Screenshots of late-night chats, messages, and inappropriate photos my boss had sent to Chelsea. I attached the entire file to a message and sent it to our company group chat without a word. The screenshots spoke for themselves. Then I turned off my phone. Upon landing in clearing customs, I turned it back on to a flood of messages. Texts from Chelsea, my boss, and co-workers. The entire situation had erupted. The first message I read was from my boss, now my ex-boss. He was frantic, attempting to manage a situation spiraling beyond his control. A strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow washed over me as I observed the chaos unfold. Then came Chelsea's messages. Initially confused, she asked where I was and why I hadn't responded. Her tone shifted as she tried calling, resorted to guilt, and offered apologies that skirted actual accountability. Chose not to engage. A full week passed before she sent the message that broke my silence. "You were right. He played me. His wife found out and he blocked me." There was no gig. Reading that didn't bring relief. It merely confirmed my suspicions. The man she had chosen over me had exploited her and discarded her when faced with consequences. I replied with a simple message. "It hurts that I was right, but I wish you the best." That was all. In Mexico I had nothing but time. I began freelancing online, leveraging my cybersecurity expertise to build websites, address vulnerabilities, and consult for small businesses. The income wasn't corporate level, but it was steady enough. I worked on my terms, took breaks when necessary, and found a rhythm that brought me genuine peace. I still thought about Chelsea now and then. It's difficult not to after sharing years of life together. However, once someone reveals how little they respect you and how easily they can betray your trust, it's impossible to unsee that reality. And while they might expect forgiveness to ease their own burden, the truth is, there's no returning from such a betrayal.